Jesus. I get one nice car for like 5 hours, then it doesn't have tires anymore. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Sunday drive. Now, if you notice, we are not in Little Wing today. This is an F30 335i. So we're finally doing a car review. Before we get into it, I want to talk about why I don't really do car reviews. I want to and I will, I just haven't yet. And fucking serious? It's a concept that I've had for a little while. I call it like the baseline. I'll go into this later further in depth, but basically the concept is, and I kind of think it's why car reviews tend to vary so much depending on who's doing it. Of course, like, everyone has their own different opinions on each car, but the baseline concept is whatever car you drive, that's your baseline. And whatever car you review that's not your car is kind of compared to the car you drive every day. And so that's kind of why I've strayed away from doing car reviews, is because I do daily drive a 1997 BMW M3, for those of you guys who don't know. Sedan, 5-speed manual, beautiful car. But it's fun and it's fast and it's agile and it's really tight. It's a very well refined car. So if I go drive a first generation Miata, of course I'm not really going to have that many good things to say, because it's not going to be as powerful, it's not going to be as stiff, you know. So I plan on getting a 318 to daily drive so that I can start doing car reviews. So the cars I do review, they will be like significantly faster than my daily driver. They'll be significantly stiffer, more performance oriented than a 318i would. So it's not like I'll get into a car that's a fast car and start driving it and be like, oh, this thing's slow because I drive a 97 M3. You know, if I drive like a 318 with only like 110 horsepower and you get into a 140 horsepower Miata, it's a little bit faster, it's a little bit more powerful than the 318, so I'll have better things to say about it, you know what I mean? And so I thought I would do a car review on this because it's basically an updated version of my own car. It's not some completely different car. This is a 3 Series. It's a newer 3 Series and it's a 335, and it is a good bit quicker than my M3 is. And so because of that baseline concept, I think it's really hard or almost impossible to just completely review a car based on nothing, you know what I mean? Like an unbiased opinion. Keep in mind, for the duration of the review, it's basically going to be like compared to an E36. I'm going to try and do it like neutral, but again, because I daily drive an M3, that's kind of the car I'm used to, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to stray away from that. And I don't think that's just for me specifically, I think that's for everyone doing car reviews ever. And I won't lie, the way the car drives, it carries the same soul as an E36. This is one of the reasons I got an E36 in the first place, was because I fell in love with an E92 335, the way it drove. And the E36 drives the same. All the 3 Series sort of carry a similar soul to them. And I really like that. So it does drive like an E36, but it's much more refined and a lot better. I think part of it is because it's newer and my daily driver is like 20 years old, but it's nice. It doesn't have like some of the squeaks and rattles like my older car does. It's very quiet, it's very smooth. Now I will say, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the 3 Series compared to an E36, but these cars are significantly larger. See, when I'm doing the Sunday drives in my own car, when I want to like pause the video or unrecord or turn the recording off, I literally just reach over and grab the camera and push a little button and shut it off. And most of the time, I don't even have to take my back off of the seat to do that. The same thing, like sitting in the driver's seat in my driving position, if I reach over with my hand and point my finger like this, I can touch the window. This is like, if I want to touch the window, I gotta lean way over here. If I want to touch the camera, I gotta lean forward. So it's weird because it doesn't seem like it's that much larger inside of here, but it really is. Aside from being bigger, it's also a little bit heavier. But one of the weird things I've noticed with the 3 Series carrying that soul, they hide their weight very well. So this car is a good bit heavier than my M3, but I don't even really notice it when I'm taking corners. The car is very light, it's very nimble, and all 3 series are like this. The E30 is like that, the E36, and this F30 is just the same. I don't know how they do it. It must be just like combine the suspension design, the weight balance, all that stuff, but it's really nice. And I've driven some heavier sedans, and it's kind of hard to hide weight like that, but BMW does it, and it's A1 sauce. The car's really nimble, and it just goes where you tell it to. Now, this car being a 335, it has the, I believe it's the N55, so it is a 3-liter inline-6, similar to Little Wing, but this has a twin-scroll turbocharger on it. I don't remember the exact power figure. I think it's in the 300s somewhere. The thing I'm really impressed with is the torque curve. It's got this like ridiculously flat torque curve. And so if you guys don't know what I really mean by that, is it doesn't vary in power based on the RPM. In my sedan, in my M3, you put it in second gear, you mat it, and like as it goes to 3, 4, 5, you get just like progressively more and more power, and the car seems to accelerate faster at the higher RPMs, and so the power band kind of goes up and peaks, right? With this, at about 3,000, 3,500 RPM, it's just the same amount of shove all the way up through the rev range, which is freaking sick. So it doesn't like progressively get faster as you climb up in the RPM. It's just like it gets to 3 grand, it's fast, and it's just fast all the time. And the transmission, this has an automatic transmission, by the way, it doesn't like pause in between shifts. So it's just like you get on it, you floor it, as soon as it gets above 3 grand, it's shoving you the same acceleration all the way. It's freaking sick. It's super smooth, very linear. You know, it doesn't really have a lot of turbo lag. I mean, if you first get on it, like if you downshift it and then get on it, you'll notice a little bit of lag, but as soon as it kicks in, you're just freaking going. It doesn't take much to spool one of the turbos on these things. Because it has a 3-liter inline-6, it makes good power by itself. So the turbo is just like adding to that, you know. The motor is not relying on the turbo to make power. The motor makes power by itself, and then the turbo is like extra power, which is freaking amazing. And this thing is a freaking rocket. This thing will just walk past 80, past 90, and just, you know, no signs of slowing down. It's crazy. In these 335s, you kind of do have to, more so on the highway, but when you're going down, you have to watch your speed, because there's no indications of really how fast you're going. I drove a 2013 Ford Fiesta. It was an SE, not an ST, but above like 80 miles an hour, shit started shaking, the thing started rattling. You know you were hauling ass. In this, and in my M3, it's not the same, because it doesn't have the refinement that this car has. You don't notice that you're going that fast, because the car is just so smooth no matter what. It's ridiculous. Now, I would prefer this car in a manual, but the 8-speed automatic that it comes with is actually not really bad at all. Now keep in mind, this is being compared to the automatic transmission my E36 had before I manual swapped it. That thing was a load of shit. This is much more refined. It's much more responsive. The shifts are faster and they're crisper. And while I prefer the manual, having one in automatic like this, I'm not miserable like I would be if I had an E36 with the automatic. Now the only issue that I have is that it's an 8-speed. And now the gears are stacked so freaking closely. It's almost like if you're gonna rip one of these, you might as well just let the automatic do its thing, because you're gonna be, it's not so bad with upshifting because you're just slapping the paddles all the time. Downshifting for engine braking, this is where I had a problem with this transmission. I was coming back from Ocotillo Wells, so it's like a giant desert, you know, we got lots of like motorbikes and stuff, you go rip them out there, and on the road back, it's this really twisty canyon road. It's super fun. I took this out there, and when I was going out on the canyon, I was kind of playing with it. I was like downshifting, upshifting, and I was trying to engine brake. But the issue that I had was when I would come up to a corner, I would be downshifting, but I couldn't downshift enough. It's ridiculous. Now with Little Wing, the gear drop from 5th to 4th is like 2,000 RPM. From 4th to 3rd, it's like 2,000 RPM. So if I'm coming in to a corner and I'm gonna downshift, like one gear downshift will do it. So I'll be in like 4th at like 3,000 RPM. If I wanna enter the corner at like 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, I just drop it to 3rd. That's it, you're good, right? In this car, I'll come into a corner at like 3,000 RPM. I'm like, okay, well I wanna be at about 5. So you would flick it once and it would jump 500 RPM, and then you flick it twice and now it's at another 500. So by the time I wanted to get to the 5,000 RPM where I kind of wanted to be, I had to like flick the paddle like 4 different times. I gotta do like 4 downshifts to get what I actually want. And so even when I would do that, I'd downshift like 4 different times and got it to where I think it would be good for a corner exit. When I get on the throttle at the corner exit, it downshifts again because it's still not in the right gear. It's too many gears to be driving it kind of like you would drive a manual. You know, you'd be downshifting and shit. It's like insane because there's so many gears. It's like, I don't know, it's just kind of annoying. And so that's what I mean. If you're going on a canyon run, just put it into Sport Plus mode and let it do its thing, because it's going to do it much better than you think you can. And so with that respect, I would rather have the manual. They come with 6-speed, which is good that they don't come with freaking massive 8-speed manuals, because that would be ridiculous. But these 335s are freaking fun. I'm calling it right now. This chassis, the F30, F32, F33, F80, these are going to be the new E36s. And it's going to be cool to see these cars in like 10 or 15 years when they're the price of an E46, or the price of an E36 right now, when they're $5,000 or $6,000, because they already come turboed. The 335 comes turboed, the 328 already comes turboed, and so they're just going to be like these little tuner monsters. They're going to be kind of, I'm guessing what the SR20 is, or something, you know what I mean? It's just, they're going to be fun little icons. Alright, I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it fresh, and I will see you guys later.